being recorded both in Zoom and on YouTube for your reference later. So with that, I will go ahead and pass it over to Matt.
All right, guys, welcome to March 2022. Meteorological winter is over. It's been a fantastic week. We had a really wet February in place, but we've had a week of dry conditions recently. We've also had some warmer temperatures. I know a lot of people got into the 70s yesterday. Yes, a little bit cooler today, but the warmth is coming back. So looking forward to that. So this webinar series is presented by the Kentucky Climate Center down there at WKU in partnership with the National Integrated Drought Information System and in coordination with the Midwest Drought Early Warning System. Production delivery of this webinar reflects the contributions of many partners committed to serving the needs of the Commonwealth of Kentucky and its people. Our next webinar is scheduled for Thursday, April 7th, same time, 2022. We will have to take into account that daylight savings time change as we go into the next webinar. But as Megan said earlier, this is being recorded and will be available for viewing on YouTube. So I wanted to start out, have this background picture here. This is back on ground or close to Groundhog's Day, February 7th, 2022. We had some more winter weather to start the month, kind of carried over from a very active month of January in terms of winter weather. But I want to put this slide on here. Low-lying areas in agriculture, very wet right now, very moist ground. I know it's been dry this past week, but I'm sure most of those producers, farmers out there wouldn't mind some additional dry conditions. So, outline, going to go over the winter, this past winter, the warm and wet winter we just had, a look at our recent conditions, impacts related to agriculture. Also going to take a look back at the 2012 tornado outbreak. It's hard to imagine, but we're 10 years after that event now. So 10-year anniversary happened yesterday. Take a look at the outlooks moving forward. And we'll discuss there if anybody has any questions to ask there at the end. Megan and Chip, both co-hosts on the webinar, they helped me out, sent me these pictures yesterday over on the left. Spring they're starting to show some signs of spring out there. Mother Nature is starting to show some signs. Daffodils are waking up there in Georgetown, Kentucky, from Chip up there in the top picture. And then Mammoth Cave, this was shown on Twitter. The first spring wildflower has been spotted. I'm not going to try pronouncing that name because I'll definitely get it wrong. But there you go. The first signs of spring. So meteorological spring is here. Most people think, well, spring doesn't start till March 20th. Well, that's astronomical spring. The astronomical seasons go by the tilt of the Earth, the revolution of the Earth around the sun. But in the world of meteorology, we go by the 3 coldest months of the year, the 3 warmest months of the year, and the 3 months in between. So 3 coldest months of the year, December, January, and February here in the Northern Hemisphere. 3 warmest months of the year in June, July, and August. Then the 3 months in between helps us on the climatology side, much easier to manage data that way. So anyways, if you're looking forward to spring, it's here in the meteorology world. So looking back at the past winter, it was a very wet winter. This is a look at accumulated precipitation, and this takes into account the liquid equivalent of any snowfall, ice, sleet across the region also. So that blue area, 15 to 20 inches across much of the state. We do have some lower precipitation totals there in the northern bluegrass and eastern Kentucky, down to 10 to 15 inches, but still quite a bit for this time of year. Looking at the departure from normal from the Midwestern Regional Climate Center over that 3-month period, everyone across the state saw above normal departures. The most was seen Lexington, Louisville, down there to Bowling Green, in that darkish green color, 4 to 6 inches. Takes up a good chunk of the state. But even those areas that didn't see as much precipitation there in the northern bluegrass and eastern Kentucky, still 2 to 4 inches above normal for the most part. So a very wet winter across the state of Kentucky. Looking at average temperature, it was also a warm one when we take into account that entire 3-month period. Looking at 1, 2, maybe more than 3 degrees warmer than normal over the course of December, January, and February. And I just want to point out, leading into winter, all the talk was about La Nina, and La Nina, typically brings us warmer temperatures and above normal precipitation in the lower Ohio Valley, and it panned out that way this year. So a good forecast by those folks over that way leading into winter. Looking at accumulated snowfall, the eastern half of Kentucky saw more than the western half. You look at Lexington there, a stripe going into northeastern Kentucky in that bluish color, 15 to 20 inches. Now I know Lexington saw about 10 inches with one event. So quite a bit of snowfall this year for the eastern half of the state, and that diminished as you went west over in Paducah, not much at all in that 3 to 5 inch range. So summing it up with some statistics across the state, the upper left chart here from the Midwestern Regional Climate Center summarized the data from December 1st to February 28th. Overall, the state averaged 16.25 inches over that time span. Normal is 11.75 inches. So about 4.5 inches above normal over that time span. Looking at temperature, well above normal once again. And if we compare this to previous winters in Kentucky, going all the way back to 1895, that 16.25 inches, it would place about number 16 on record. Now, this is still preliminary data. They're looking into it right now. We'll know officially here in probably the next several days. But as it sits now, looks like a pretty good possibility. This is going to be a top 15, top 20 wettest February on record with data going back to 1895. Looking at temperatures, our average temperature at 38.7 would come in at right about number 20. Again, this is just preliminary data, but a pretty good idea. This is going to be one of our wettest and warmest winters on record. Sorry, getting tongue twisted a little bit. So, oh, I see Chip's message in there. I got the daffodils wrong. But anyways, this is a time series scatter plot. You might have seen Stu Foster talk about these a little bit back early last year and years previous. But anyways, I plotted all 31 years going back to 1991, the winter seasons of those years, and plotted them according to the accumulated precipitation, the average accumulated precipitation across the state, and the average state temperature during that winter season. So just as an example, 2018, 2019, our average winter seasonal temperature at that time was just over 39 degrees. We averaged about 20 inches across the state that year. Draw a line over from this y-axis here, draw it up from the x-axis there. You see 2018, 2019 plotted there. And once again, I put the past 31 winter seasons on here. I then divided the graph into 4 boxes according to the average temperature for the winter season in the state of Kentucky, the 1991 through 2020 climate normals, and then the average precipitation over the winter season with this blue line across here for the state of Kentucky. And then I highlighted the past 6 winter seasons in red. So you kind of see a trend showing up. any years or winter seasons showing up here in this upper right-hand box would be winter seasons with above normal precipitation and above normal temperatures. So 5 of the past 6 years, actually, I guess I got 7 years plotted. So 6 of the past 7 years are up here in this upper right-hand box, signaling a warmer and wetter winter than normal. So that's been a trend in recent past. Yes, we had 2020, 2021 back here, near normal precipitation, below normal in temperatures. That was mainly because of our very cool February last year and that 2-week period of winter storms we got and extreme cold. But for the most part, the past decade, most of those winter seasons are showing up here in this upper right-hand box. So warmer and wetter conditions during the winter season here in Kentucky. Now, looking back at the past month of February, a very wet month. The state averaged over 6 inches just in February. And this was a statewide event for the most part. That darker shade of red there is in that 6 to 8 inch range. Sure, we have some places over there near Pike County, extreme eastern Kentucky in the 4 to 5 inch range, but predominantly most everyone was above 5 inches this past month. Looking back 60 days, taking into account January and February, this is from the Kentucky Mesnet. You got the precipitation analysis in the background. Most everyone across the state in that 10 to 15 inch range. So again, quite a bit of precipitation across the state going back 60 days, and that continued back 90 days with another month of above normal precipitation during the month of December. So the past 90 days, mostly Kentucky in that 15 to 20 inch range, as I talked about earlier. So looking at the departure from normal in the 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day periods, looking back 30 days, most of the state is 2 inches plus above normal. Some portions of the bluegrass and down there near Bowling Green, South Central Kentucky, 3 to 4 plus inches. So a very wet February. I was just talking to Megan about this 60-day departure from normal map. I think there's something wrong with the data, so I'm ignoring that for now. But going back 90 days, you see those well above normal departures once again across the entirety of the state. Light blue shades, 4 to 6 inches above normal. Those purple shades, you're starting to look at 8 inches above normal. But preliminary state average for the month of February at 6.18 inches, about 3.75 inches above normal over that time period. And of course, that's just over 28 days. So that's significant in itself. Looking at a top 15 wettest February on record, and this just adds up with the wet winter in place. January, we averaged 5.07 inches and December 4.28 inches. Looking at temperature across the state of Kentucky, February, we're running in that 35 to 40 degree range for average temperatures. Sure, we had some days with pretty mild temperatures in place, highs getting into the 60s at times. I believe at some days we reached the 70-degree mark across Western Kentucky, but we also had some cooler days mixed in. So we ended up the month of February pretty close to normal in terms of temperature. Maximum temperatures a little bit warmer than normal, especially across the eastern half of the state. Minimum temperatures a little bit cooler than normal, especially across the western half of the state. So it all kind of balanced out to a pretty average February in terms of temperatures. Looking at the U.S. Drought Monitor, as you guys can imagine, with our wet winter in place, we're looking great right now. And it's also great to see the surrounding states around us are running wet for the most part. So sometimes you start seeing flash drought develop and it can expand. And so we have no areas even showing abnormally dry conditions around the state of Kentucky. There are portions of the plain states that are seeing drought worsen. You see portions of Nebraska, Kansas, in that moderate to severe drought category. So something you definitely don't want to see heading into planting season here in the upcoming future. But predominantly here in our neck of the woods, the Ohio Valley, we're looking pretty good at the moment. Again, going back to those plain states, this is a change in the U.S. Drought Monitor over the past 4 weeks. If you see those yellow tannish shades on there, drought is getting worse. So over there in Nebraska, Kansas, portions of southwestern Iowa, definitely seeing a degradation across that region, seeing some improvement across the midsection Missouri going into the midsection Illinois, but nothing to really worry about at the moment here in Kentucky. This just goes along with that wet pattern I've been talking to you about. I won't spend too much time here. Calculated soil moisture anomaly running above normal. It's pretty wet across the state of Kentucky. Same with shallow groundwater here across the state, especially going down to Tennessee and northern portions of Alabama, Mississippi. And then I just put a couple graphs on here from Allen County, South Central Kentucky, and Shelby County near Lexington and Louisville, showing soil moisture at different levels, 2, 4, 8, 20, and 40 inches. And you can actually see the numerous rainfall precipitation events we saw throughout the month and those spikes in the data, the increases in the data. So wet month. That's translating to stream flows. This is a 7-day average valid Tuesday, March 1st. Most across Eastern Kentucky, across the state of Kentucky at that, are running above normal, or even those darker shades of blue, much above normal. Looking at 28-day average, the bluegrass, much above normal, but you still see most of the state in those light blue, dark blue colors, stream flows running above normal at the time. Looking at current flooding across the state, we were having some issues over here in Eastern Kentucky, but those levels have since receded. But we have the precipitation going to the main stem of the Ohio River, and there are portions of Western Kentucky getting out into the Purchase area, the Green River region, showing some minor flood stages, some even in moderate flood stages. Now, the good news, we're going to see that go down over the next week. This is a look at some of those river gauges across that Ohio River region over there in Western Kentucky. This first one, the Ohio River at the, I'm going to say this wrong, the Olmsted Lock. It's currently about 45 feet around there, still in moderate flood stage. Will stay that way through about the first week of March before it really starts diminishing. Same thing out here at Newburgh in southern Indiana, that lock pretty close to Henderson, Kentucky, around 45 feet. You'll start seeing that going down. And anyways, start seeing some improvement now. We're not in the clear. We do have some pretty significant rainfall on the way later this weekend and into early next week. The outlooks don't paint a pretty picture right now, so something to watch going forward. Looking at storm reports from the last 30 days, most have either been non-thunderstorm related wind gusts or some flash flooding across the area. Yes, we did see some wind damage from thunderstorms, but a lot of those showing up non-thunderstorm wind gust or damage. I'm sure some of that came from this date, February 11th, 2022. This was peak wind gust that afternoon, had several across the state, peak over 40 miles per hour. I think that's Madison County there at 50 miles per hour. Just to put this into perspective, A severe thunderstorm warning can be issued for wind gust in excess of 58 miles per hour. So gives you something to compare to. Looking at the going back related to storms, I know we dealt with the tornadoes in early December this year. We also, our last major tornado outbreak came on March 2nd, 2012. This was predominantly across the northern bluegrass and eastern Kentucky, had multiple EF3 tornadoes across eastern Kentucky, and had an EF4 tornado progress across the northern bluegrass. So EF4 tornado, same intensity as that EF4 that went through Mayfield, Princeton, Dawson Springs back in December. So again, a very bad event for the state of Kentucky. 81 confirmed tornadoes across 11 states claimed the lives, unfortunately, of 41 people. Again, the strongest one was there north of Louisville going into the northern bluegrass. This is a look at the picture in southern Indiana of one of the school buses there in Henryville. Strongest tornado in our region. This would be Louisville since May 28, 1996, deadliest since the Brandenburg tornado of April 3rd, 1974. So 1974, another major tornado outbreak across the region here. But anyways, it's hard to believe this was now 10 years ago. I remember this day vividly. Just like that tornado event in early December, you just felt like walking out that morning, something wasn't right. Being that time of the year, the humidity, the temperatures, you name it. I know UK let out a half day for safety purposes, but terrible day in Kentucky history. Something interesting. I did not know this until I was doing some interviews here recently. But one of these EF3 tornadoes out here in eastern Kentucky, I don't remember if it was Western or West Liberty or Salyersville, but it was EF3 tornado, but very, very close to being another EF4 rated tornado. So I wanted to put this in here. This is from the Paducah National Weather Service, talking a little bit about climatology. You see the ratings, the enhanced Fujita scale for tornadoes, ranging from very weak tornadoes, EF0 minor of 65 to 85 mile per hour peak winds, all the way to EF5 violent tornadoes of 200 miles per hour plus. This is a look at the number of EF2, EF3, and EF4 tornadoes in that Paducah County warning area between 1996 and 2021. And we're getting into the months of March, April, and May. We usually associate with our peak tornado season in Kentucky. Doesn't mean we can't have another tornado outbreak at other times of the year like we saw in December, but spring is typically our peak season. You can see over that time period, they've seen 23 EF2 tornadoes in April, 26 in May. This will include the Paducah area, the Purchase area, Western Kentucky. April, 10 EF3 tornadoes, 4 in May. And then EF4 tornadoes, you don't see very often. They are relatively rare, but they've seen 1 in April and May also. Then you see that one that was confirmed this past December. So guys, if you haven't already, make sure you know where to go if there is a tornado warning. So looking at Kentucky ag impacts, winter wheat condition doing pretty good right now, 68% in the good category according to the last Kentucky crop progress and condition report. 10% in the excellent category added up, you get 78% in both of those. Hay reserves looking pretty good in 2022. And for comparison's sake, we're looking better in 2021 for the most part. So I put the data same time last year for 2021, the percentages there of surplus, adequate, short, and very short categories. We are 80% adequate in 2021. We're at 76. Yes, we did diminish by 4%, but that translated more so to the surplus category. So we'll take it. Unfortunately, a lot more rain in February. My friend, Dr. Josh Jackson, he's a livestock system specialist here at the Department of Biosystems and Ag Engineering. He sent me these pictures from his cattle operation over in Salvisa, Kentucky, over in Mercer County. And mud has been a tremendous issue, maybe not as bad as the years of 2018, 2019, but definitely gives producers a headache trying to feed those livestock out there, transport that hay, but also those livestock are burning more energy trying to walk through this amount of mud. So definitely been an issue this year. We love seeing these dry conditions, warmer temperatures, but unfortunately it doesn't look like it's going to stay that way. I always come back to talking about these growing degree day accumulations this time of year, looking to see where we're at. Growing degree days, we're relating temperature to crop development or insect development throughout the year. And you remember the past 5 years, 2021 didn't run that way, but 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, I guess, we saw green up much earlier in the year. And we were getting a little worried in terms of winter wheat going into more advanced growth stages earlier in the year and putting that crop more susceptible to freeze damage later in the spring months. And here in 2022, this black line, we're running pretty close to where we were in 2021. Again, with these warmer temperatures in place this week, we're going to see this black line shoot up a bit. I don't think this is going to be what you call a biologic explosion, but we're definitely going to see more signs of spring over the next upcoming week. I know there's some hints of some cooler weather, maybe mid-month, but hopefully winter's over. But you guys know here in Kentucky, it can sneak up on us. But once again, our growing degree day accumulations running lower than those warmer years of 2017, 18, and 19. This is for the Paducah region. Lexington, just about the same, running a little above where we were in 2021 at this time. We did have a warmer February in place. So whenever you see this line increasing, every crop has a minimum base temperature for growth. Just for example, wheat, the base temperature is 32 degrees. Corn would be 50 degrees. If your average temperature for the day is above that base temperature, the difference, you're going to see this line starting to increase. So here during the latter half of February, we've seen some pretty significant increases across the state. We're around 200 growing degree day accumulations, base 32 on February 12th. February 26th, we're over 300, but still running lower than those previous warmer winters we had in the past. Moving on to the forecast and a look at the outlooks real quick. This is a quick look at rainfall accumulations, liquid equivalent precipitation the upcoming week. I believe most of this is going to be rain based on the warmer temperatures in the forecast. This is something we don't want to see at this time of year. Of course, most of the rainfall coming down is still translating to runoff, but that dark purple color there is 2 inches plus over the next 7 days. And we go down to southeastern Kentucky, we see those totals diminish, but still an inch plus in the forecast. So 1 to 2 plus inches over the next 7 days. This is added on to the wet month of February we just had. So I know we just had a week of dry weather, but it looks like we're going to be going in the opposite direction. Now, moving out a little farther in the months, March 8th through the 12th. This is a look at the outlooks. Not really any clear confidence going either way, whether above normal or below normal temperatures, staying right close to normal for that March 8th to 12th time frame in terms of temperature. Maybe a little more higher confidence and above normal precipitation over that time frame. Moving into 8 to 14 day time period, March 10th through the 16th, going into the middle stages of March, near normal, maybe a little bit below normal for temperatures across the state of Kentucky. Higher confidence, once again, pertains to higher confidence and above or below normal temperatures. So if you're traveling to Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, looks like you're going to be in store for some very cold temperatures up that way. Looking at precipitation above normal again, once again, here in the state of Kentucky. The month as a whole, kind of a bullseye over the Ohio Valley region of above normal rainfall during the month of March this year, and staying with that above normal trend in temperatures also. Moving out the next 3 months, look at the seasonal outlook. Once again, keeping with that trend, above normal temperatures, higher confidence and above normal temperatures in the forecast, and higher confidence and above normal precipitation for the months of March, April, and May moving forward. So Streamflow outlooks moving through the next month, March 2022. Most of the locations across Kentucky and that light blue shade for above normal stream flows. So we're currently seeing above normal stream flows, and the Ohio River Forecast Center expects it to stay that way with the outlooks looking how they are, and that above normal rainfall the next week. The seasonal flood risk outlook, that's above normal stream flow will translate to this flood risk outlook. So this is looking at the locations and a 50% chance or greater of exceeding river flood levels during March, April, and May. So those places over there in the Ohio River region, Western Kentucky up into southwestern Indiana, looks like they have a greater than 50% chance of seeing at least minor long-range flooding, if not moderate long-range flooding. Luckily, we're not seeing that 50% chance of major long-range flooding, so we'll take that. But this just all adds to that very wet previous 3 months we've had and the wet outlooks moving forward. Significant wildland fire potential outlook for March 2022. Obviously, no problems around the Ohio River Valley, but places they're seeing drought out there, Nebraska, Kansas, portions of Oklahoma, into Texas. Yes, above normal risk. So, guys, I'm going to end it there. Just in summary, one of our warmer, wetter winters on record for 2021, 2022. That remains a trend over the past several years, going back the past 6-7 years. Winter ended with a very wet month of February. We averaged over 6 inches during the month, good for what it looks to be a top 15 wettest February of all time. Drought is a non-issue now. Drought is a non-issue going forward, especially with the outlooks looking how they are. And agriculture, we're in an all right spot right now. We'll see how much rain we get in the month of March and see how that evolves going into planting season in April. But we'll see how much rain we get. So with that, I'm going to end it. Our next scheduled webinar is April 7th, same time. I believe Chip will be the host next month. But with that, I appreciate you guys tuning in this month.
Thank you, Matt. So we can go ahead and open it up for questions. If anyone wants to ask a question, you can either type it into the chat, or you can unmute and ask. Or I see that Stephen Cole mentioned that the tornado in West Liberty destroyed the division's nursery. I know that had a pretty wide, the tornadoes from that outbreak did have a pretty wide impact across the state. So I appreciate that comment there, Stephen.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Kevin Jeffries, and we have got a farm here in southeastern Oldham County, and we kind of concur with what he was talking about on the as far as the moisture. I think February we were 7.31 inches. We got a weather station here on the farm, and we were like 7.31, and I think we had 15.97 from December through the end of February. So it's definitely been wet.
Definitely gives folks a headache across the state.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The fascinating thing is that we had so much more winter weather than what we have in the past recent years. Usually we have just all rain instead of snow and the substantial snow that some of Eastern Kentucky saw. So just imagine if we had just been that little bit warmer, how much more rain we would have had in those totals.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, anyone else? If not, we can go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and we look forward to seeing you on April 7th.
Thank you.